Hi everyone, thanks for joining me once again for another session of stories right here on Thailand Bound. I've got 3 stories for you today. The background video that you're going to see was taken by me about a week ago walking around IT Fortune Mall, which is the most popular mall in Bangkok to buy anything to do with cameras and laptops and that sort of thing. If the story's long enough, I'll then change over to the Central Mall, which I also filmed on the same day. If not, that'll be next week's background video. Now, something tells me this first story is going to get a lot of comments. It's very different to what I normally read out, and it's really one of those sort of stories. I can't really describe it. I'll just get on with it, and you can leave your comments at the end, okay?
สวัสดีค่ะ
This story is a follow-on from the 10 days in Thailand one I did about 3 months ago. Some of your viewers may make the connection to this and other stories I have submitted. I was in Thailand recently with my Thai wife of 14 years to do the handover of our newly built house. The house is amazing, but I will make a separate story about that later since we had no bed or furniture at handover. I booked my favourite hotel for 3 nights for myself and my wife. The same hotel I used on my 10-day trip 3 months prior. That was probably not a great idea since my wife was with me this time and she took it upon herself to question the staff as to whether I had any girls in my room on the last trip. Now the staff have all known me for several years and know to keep tight lips about my activities in Thailand. That is, except for a stupid doorman and a concierge who told her, yes, I did have girls in my room. Naturally, my wife confronted me with this knowledge. I was shocked, as you can imagine, and had to think quickly. My reply was, yes, darling, I did have girls in my room. I went on to explain to her that she knew the girls as well. You see, last year, my wife wanted to drag me around shopping in town, and I agreed if we had lunch at my favourite bar. Everyone knew I was married, so I didn't see the harm. On that occasion, my wife met me, the manager, and one of the day shift girls. So on the spot, I told my wife that since I booked a suite and not a regular room, the 2 girls she had previously met wanted to come and have a look as they had not been in a suite before and never in this hotel. Now, whether my wife believed me or not is up for conjecture, but one thing is certain, my wife knows my taste and knows the girls I was referring to are not my taste at all. My reply to her question seemed to satisfy her curiosity and the subject never came up again. Everyone saved face and that's what it's all about in the end. The front desk manager, who has known me for years, was not so lucky. At the next opportunity, I was down there confronting him with this embarrassing situation. He apologised sincerely and told me he would speak to all the staff and inform them no information concerning my activities will ever be shared with my wife. True to his word, he did, because we were treated like the ultimate VIPs after that, and the 2 idiots kept their eyes down whenever I passed. I would like to think they were ashamed of what they did, very stupid men. During our stay, we ordered our furniture for the house and ended up only staying 2 nights because my wife was eager to move in, as was I. I think I've mentioned this in previous stories that whenever we have come to Thailand, my wife gets her temple and family time while I go to the city and hang out with expats in the bars. This time was no different, so after a week I was back in the hotel for 3 nights of fun before going back to the house. After checking in and a quick shower, I was on the street again. I ran into the manager almost immediately. She is a freelance manager now, having left the previous bar. I love her. She can fix anything for you. She had time, so we headed off to have lunch and a chat. I had my night planned as I had Nut, the superstar ladyboy, coming over later. I did, however, ask the manager to find me a nice girl, but older this time. I wanted to take a break from the 20-somethings. True to her word, she found a lovely 41-year-old more on her later, and I will call her Nut for reasons that will become apparent. Nut came over early afternoon and brought another lady boyfriend, as I had requested her to do. I thought it would be twice the fun in the gym, but I was to be disappointed. The one she brought had been doing a show the previous night and was falling asleep in reception before we even got to the room. I took them up anyway, and Nut and I put her to bed. I took Nut into the lounge room, gave her 2,000 baht for her friend, which was much less than we agreed, and told Nut I was going out for a drink, and when I returned in about an hour, her friend would be gone, as I don't pay for people to sleep in my bed. Nut was visibly shocked that I would do this, but she did as I said. There is no point taking pity in these situations, or you will be taken advantage of every time. So I came back 90 minutes later. Nut was quite sorry about the situation. I told her not to worry and suggested a shower and a workout would fix everything, and it did. It was early evening by now, and we were both hungry. I called the manager and invited her out for dinner with us and a few drinks before. I also called Mint, who had performed a double act with Nut before, but she had to work and I could not bar fine her either because her boss wouldn't allow it. The three of us went to Smile's bar for a few drinks before dinner. You might remember Smile was the one I didn't even know was a ladyboy for 2 years. I bar fined her for 400 baht. Now, this bar gave the girls half the bar fine. Many don't do that. We had a fabulous dinner with music and dancing. After that, we went back to the bar for a few drinks. The manager wanted to go home as she was tired. It was getting late. I decided we should all go, and I asked Nut if it would be okay to take Smile with us. Nut agreed. I negotiated a price with Smile and off we went. Now I know much of your audience are not into this sort of thing, but I was in heaven. I woke up with them, one on each side of me. We squeezed into the shower together and after a bit of morning playtime went down for breakfast. The hotel didn't charge me for the extra guest or the extra breakfast as they owed me for the previous incident with my wife. I always pack a few bikinis that I buy online, so they tried them on and we went for a morning swim. Smile went home after that. Nut stayed with me as I had booked her for 2 nights. Nut wanted to have a nap, so I said, okay, that's fine. I gave her the second key card for the room so she could come and go as she pleased. I wanted to go and do a bit of shopping. I visited the manager at her bar after shopping, then Nut called me and wanted me to come back to the hotel, so I did. Nut was wearing some kind of skimpy clothes I bought her in Australia. She had YouTube on and music playing. She did an amazing dance routine for me, which I filmed. That footage is already on my phone and safe on a USB stick. I took a shower again. Nut gave me a great happy massage and we were ready for another night. Because I was only here for a short time, I wanted to pack in as much as I could. We went back to Smile's bar and the manager met us there too. I refer to the manager as my bodyguard too because I let her hold my bag, money and phone should I get too drunk. She has never let me down, never ripped me off and always looked after me, even up to the point of keeping an eye on my bill and making sure it doesn't get loaded with drinks I didn't buy, and yes, I paid her a fee for this service. She is well known and well respected in the bar scene. No one would mess with her. I suggested to Smile that she come back to the hotel again with us. I also picked a bar girl called Pim and bar fined her and off we went. There was no question from the hotel staff as the 4 of us walked by the front desk. No ID checks, nothing. We were simply left alone. As well as a few bikinis, I packed some cosplay outfits too. So in my room that night, I had quite a collection of things to look at, if you get my meaning. I forgot my costume, so I just had to go full commando. What a shame. After the photo session, Pim and Smile wanted to play cards. Nut was reluctant as she had work in the morning. This was a ploy to get me into the game. I knew nothing about. They were playing for money and Pim was incredibly good. I did not play but put 400 baht and 20 baht notes on the table for them to play with along with their own money. This was a huge mistake to even allow the cards to come out, as I would later learn, but I was a bit drunk at the time. Nut lost all her money quickly and I could see she was tired. I asked her to come to bed as it was just after 3:30 a.m. and the alcohol was wearing off. Nut and I got into bed and fell asleep almost immediately in each other's arms. Pim and Smile wanted to keep playing and they did until 6:30 a.m. I know this because Smile woke me up at 6:30 wanting more money. Remember, I have known her for 3 years and she has normally been a good person. She had already been into my wallet while I slept. What she didn't know is I was carrying a dummy wallet with no more than a couple of 100 baht in it. The actual money is in my belt, which has a zipper compartment at the back. The socks I had on also have a concealed compartment for extra money, a copy of my passport and a card from the hotel should anything happen to me. So Smile wakes me up wanting access to my room safe so she could get 10,000 baht. Pim was nowhere to be seen and perhaps Pim cleans Smile out playing cards. I said, I'm not giving you my code and I'm not giving you 10,000 baht. There was a little over 100,000 baht in the safe. I was very glad for Nut being with me at this point to witness this. Smile was demanding my code to get the money. I asked why she thought I should pay her so much. Her reply was that I owed her because she stayed all night. I just laughed at her and told her, I'm not paying a girl anything to sit in the other room and play cards all night. She called me a few choice words and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. So glad Nut was my witness to this. Nut was shocked, as I was, but Nut had to get up and get ready for work. So we didn't talk much about it. After Nut left, I slept a bit more and missed breakfast, so I headed to the bar where the manager worked for a late breakfast. I told the manager what had happened and she was not happy either. She rang Smile and confronted her. Smile denied it and called me a liar. Within minutes, I got a very nasty message from Smile accusing me of being a liar and making her look bad in front of all her friends and the manager. I showed the manager the messages and told her to call Nut as she was with me at the same time. She did this and had a long conversation with Nut as I ate my pork burger and chips. Nut confirmed my version of events. I will never set foot in Smile's bar again. So it's after midday now on Saturday and the manager reminds me that Nat will be coming at 2 p.m. to meet me in the bar. That gives me enough time to go back to the hotel for a swim and check in with my wife before the next adventure. So back to the manager bar and I'm a bit late. Nat is waiting for me. I have to say the manager delivers every time. Nat is 41, has 3 kids but has still a great body. She is petite and lovely. I hand over the 400 baht bar fine, negotiate with Nat to pay her 5,000 baht for 24 hours of her company. It's nice to be with a real woman, I must say. We enjoyed a few gin and tonics together with the manager. Nat starts it right there in the bar, rubbing my leg under the table. The manager says it's fine and continues to talk to me. Nat takes me out right there in the bar. There are no other customers, thankfully. Nat urges the manager to undertake an inspection, which she does. The manager has never seen me like this before. It's at this point that I see that 40 is the new 20 and I am going to have a fun night. Lena is the next to turn up and we have to get back to normality before it gets out of hand. Lena is 23 and it turns out that she is half Australian, the product of a failed romance over 20 years ago. Back to Nat. I have changed her name to Nat because she reminds me of the character in the cartoons you had on your channel. This girl is the real deal and clearly enjoys her work. We go into the room and I see clearly that I am going to be in for a great aerobics workout. I go to the bathroom to brush my teeth and give Nat a new toothbrush. It's only a small thing, but I give every girl a new toothbrush in the box. She is already sporting her birthday suit and undressing me in the bathroom. I don't get to finish cleaning my teeth before I'm led out onto the couch. I am 60 and thought I had seen it all until I met her. After round 1 is over, we go to the pool to chill out. I suggest that after an hour we go and eat something. We both go into the male changing rooms as we are alone to shower and change. The thrill of possibly being caught by the hotel staff was cool. Eventually, we got to a bar that served food and she seemed satisfied for the moment. During dinner, she started telling me about her boyfriends or what term as a sponsor. Surprise, surprise, it turns out that Nat has 2. One is a wealthy engineer in Sweden, I'll call him Swedish Dave, who gives her 50,000 baht per month, and the other is an Australian guy who gives her 20,000 baht per month. Guess she wanted to talk about it with someone, and since she knows I'm a married man, I am off limits for anything serious. Swedish Dave has only known her for 6 months and he is all in. She has gotten him to come up with approximately 1.6 million baht to buy her a bar, so she doesn't have to keep doing bar girl work. I think we heard that story before somewhere. The Australian guy just wants to keep his parking spot reserved, but I have to say that's an expensive parking spot. By the time we got back to the hotel, I managed to go one more round of kickboxing. Nat introduced me to the Amazon-style aerobics, which is fantastic. I recommend it when you next hit the gym. Okay, so new day now, and once again I missed breakfast. I knew I wasn't going to get out of that room without taking care of Nat, the gym instructor. I have never had the tables turned on me like this before. Nat needed to go see her kids, but said she would be back after lunch. I hadn't even invited her, but who cares? After she left, I went to see the manager and ate my usual pork burger and chips. I told her all about my night, and she said she knew I would enjoy Nat's company and that it made up for the previous night with Smile. The manager and I hit the gin and tonics and downed about 4 shots with Lena, the half Aussie girl. Then I had to go because the manager was sending her massage girl over to the hotel to rebuild my wrecked body with a good strong massage. I had drunk way too much in the middle of the day but felt okay. I had a cold shower before Lynn arrived. Lynn is 52 years old, but you would never know. I had already told the manager that I just wanted a traditional Thai massage. Lynn was lovely. Only problem was when I turned over on my back I went to sleep from the gin, and she waited 40 minutes in the room for me to wake up after she massaged a sleeping man. So there I am, asleep on the massage table, but then Nat arrived to save the day. She came in and shook me until I woke up. I was embarrassed that poor Lynn had to wait, so I paid her double for the massage, 1,800 baht. She was very grateful, and I got her number just in case. Nat wanted to show me a couple of bars she had been looking at, so I took another cold shower, and thankfully we got out of the room before Nat got any ideas. We went and looked at 2 nice bars. I told her to get the one with the inside section and the aircon, 2 upstairs rooms for private entertainment. Then it was back to the managers. 4 of us were sitting chatting, Nat, Lena, the manager and me. As we were discussing the bars, Swedish Dave called Nat on the line app. I ended up talking to him as well. He was excited about being a bar owner. I wasn't going to put my foot in it, none of my business really. To anyone who thinks otherwise, I am just another customer to Nat, and had I said anything, it would have been a loss of face for everyone, so it is not my place. Anyway, back to the hotel, and I was feeling much better. My room had 2 balconies, so we picked one, and I did our last session of outdoor exercise. Nat is amazing. I have never known anything like it. She is up for anything and will do anything to please. No wonder Swedish Dave and the Australian guy have gone falling head over heels for her. But Nat is a business person. I believe 3 days after I was back in Australia, she called me on Messenger and asked me for money. I laughed at this and said, what about the 70,000 she was getting per month? Well, private school education is expensive and the Australian pays at the end of the month. I told her to go back and ask rich Swedish Dave for more, and she did. So the following day, it was back to family life and my wife for me. I was burnt out after my Nat experience. I did get Lynn, the massage lady, back on my last day in Thailand. She come to my house, and since no one was home, she gave me the massage of my life on my new bed. She had hands like silk, and the years of experience showed. This was just supposed to be a regular oil massage, but as you can imagine, the best plans in the world don't always materialize. We discussed family and life in general. I paid the agreed 900 baht and a 200 baht tip. If 40 is the new 20, then 50 is definitely the new 30. Lynn works in a city office and does the massage things evening and weekends. She is a very elegant lady. I have her number now, so she is on my things to do again. I know some will judge me in the comments, but it's my life, and if I get another 10 good years, I will be happy. Outside of my Thai gym membership, I enjoy a fulfilling life with my wife. We have a lovely home in Australia and now a beautiful one in Thailand as well. I will write separately about the house, maybe a bit boring with no aerobics, but hey, they can't all be winners. At the very least, though, I can describe the process I went through to get the ultimate Thai house for myself and my wife. I could have given a lot more details and told you a few other things that happened, but I'm not here writing War and Peace this time around. I hope you enjoy this story, And thanks for reading my story. So, yeah, that's going to be a little bit controversial, isn't it? A lot of guys are probably going to leave comments saying, oh, you were married and you're doing this. But as he quite rightly said, you know, he's enjoying his life. And okay, this second story I've actually read out on my channel before about 3 or 4 years ago. But the reason I'm going to read it out again is because it's something a little bit different. There's a lot of talk going around at the moment about the new visas, length of visas, what you can do, what you can't do, how many times you can come into the country and all the rest of it. And I thought this story would be very appropriate. Hi Peter, I'm writing to you as my response to your video about a guy who was deported due to his passport previously reported as stolen in Germany. A bit of my background. I am from Malaysia. I have had experience in the border control industry for about 10 years. I'm not active in that industry anymore, but I do have some insights. About 10 years ago, as a vendor, not a government official, I had the opportunity to test some passport scanners in Dong Muang Airport in Bangkok. That was the only international airport in Bangkok back then. The new airport, Suvarnabhumi, was not even open yet. Dong Muang was typically crowded and almost no chance of getting a parking spot. Something I remember, and yeah, if you double park, never ever put the handbrake on. To me, this is uniquely Thailand. Someone would just push the cars along if another vehicle wanted to get out. I spent about 3 weeks with Thai immigration officers at the passport control counters. The officers are very experienced. They could tell if a passport was real, fake, or had been tampered with just by touch and visual inspection. Frankly, it was far more accurate than the equipment we were testing. I was a novice doing border control work. First incident. What appears to be a family of 3 presented their passports for inspection. The South Korean guy's passport was fine, no problems, but the wife, I am not sure, but it did appear to be his wife, and the child had a problem. Some numbers did not add up on their passports. Some other security features also failed. The female and child looked terrified, while the guy was getting annoyed as we inspected the passport in greater detail. We informed the Thai officer, but the officer said, look, they are leaving the country, just let them leave. Of course, the officer's decision was final unless another Thai officer found a problem. Anyway, this family left. My Thai colleague and I were really hoping nothing happened to the aircraft so they did not have to return to the airport. Nothing did happen, and away they went. Years later, I found out that Thailand is part of the route for North Koreans to defect to South Korea. Frankly, I don't have any regrets letting the lady and child pass. I also met with a senior female Thai immigration officer. We spent some time talking together. She was very happy to talk to me as she was a graduate from an American university and was just happy she could find someone to speak English with. We had some meals together at the airport, and I suppose that helped me and my Thai colleague. Some officers weren't too friendly with us, but seeing us with a senior officer helped smooth things over. We have also seen countless foreigners being fined for overstaying. Yes, the Thai immigration is very strict with overstaying. I would strongly suggest your viewers not to overstay. For Malaysian guys, well, some Malaysian guys, married guys typically, would go to Thailand without telling their wives or girlfriends. They may also enter Thailand via the land border. After naughty meetings with Thai girls, they would obtain the services of a forger to erase the Thailand immigration stamps so wives and girlfriends did not see that they had been to Thailand. All I would say is that the Thai officers have a special way of marking the stamps. They would also look for stamp erasure for Malaysian guys. So guys, don't do it. We once let 2 ladies pass through without raising a red flag. After immigration, both were very happy, jumping for joy. My Thai colleague and I looked at each other. We knew we had messed up. The other Thai officer wasn't too pleased either because he was inspecting us to warn him if the passports had a problem. So he had called the police officer to look for the 2 ladies. Inspected the documents again, and true enough, something was not right. Not the best days for our test equipment. We also had these Thai girls screaming and shouting at us. We did get a lot of strange looks. What happened is the officer raised a red flag. They were young girls, underage if I remember correctly. There were 3 of them. It was a red flag raised by the Thai officer, not me nor my colleague. However, we were getting yelled at. There was lots of crying. I cannot understand Thai, but understood that they were very upset. The officers went through a lot of trouble to investigate the 3 girls. Their check-in bags were located with some effort, as immigration is after check-in and x-rayed. Yes, they wanted to smuggle themselves into the EU to work illegally. Naturally, the girls would deny this, but how could the officer be sure? They based their decision on their luggage. Example, if you go on holiday to the EU, it's very unlikely your luggage would be full of kitchen utensils, pots and pans, and you would take along bottles of shampoo and deodorant, that sort of thing. Yes, it is legal for Thai immigration to stop Thai citizens from leaving the country. I think it is great Thai immigration tried to prevent young underage girls from falling into unsavoury, illegal immigrants in other countries. Yes, the officer confirmed that they do look out when young Thai girls travel overseas. This incident also confirms one thing. Not all girls are victims of human smuggling industry. Some girls do it willingly to try and make money. From my experience, and it is just my experience, a good number of such girls do it of their own free will rather than being forced to do so due to the social or economic conditions. I will always remember the shouting, crying and the stares other passengers were giving us. It's not pleasant. Next, we stayed working in the airport until about 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. You see, there are travellers from Nigeria that would arrive in the airport and they will stay in the airport for many hours until about 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. That's when the human body is about the most tired. So the Nigerian visitors will all queue up to exit the airport after midnight. They hope the tired officers will not notice problems with their travel documents. The Thai officers are wise to this. They would send enough officers to sleep from 8 p.m. until midnight just to be alert when these groups of Nigerians queue up for passport inspection. Most are already listed on Thai immigration blacklists as having fake Thai visas. The Thai officers have seen everything and know all the tricks. It is important to note that not all Nigerian visitors do this. The bona fide ones will just leave the airport as and when they arrive. Like other passengers, it's just these groups of scammers that try to outsmart the system. Those queuing up at 2 a.m. will be subject to extra inspection anyway, and rightfully so. And no, there aren't any flights direct to transit sending Nigerian passengers to Bangkok airport at that hour. Yet another incident. A Malaysian was detained by Thai immigration and the officers came with the Malaysian passport to see me. This was because we had equipment to better verify his identity. We confirmed that he was indeed the passport holder. The passport was genuine and had not been tampered with. The Thai police officer pointed out that his height stated in his passport was only 160 centimetres, but that this guy was at least 180 centimetres tall. I told them that there must be a mistake made when his passport was issued, which is something common. The applicant may not have updated his height when he renewed his passport. Easy mistake to make, especially when they are young adults, teens. So yes, if you have an incorrect or out-of-date physical description on your passport, get the passport reissued. Wet passports or water-damaged passports will be treated as tampered passports. One should get the passport replaced with a permanent passport if possible and do so immediately. Try to avoid emergency travel documents. Some embassies issue emergency travel papers to allow you for one single trip to a fixed destination, which is typically the person's home country. Immigration officers hate those papers as the papers contain little to no security features. There is no way we can recognize an ambassador's signature for each country. Sometimes the officer might call the embassy. If the embassy picks up, great, verification can be done quickly. If not, immigration, and not just Thailand, it can be any country, can delay the traveller until the papers are verified. Now, imagine the poor traveller must have gone through some unfortunate incident to require the use of emergency travel papers, and now that said poor traveller faces more hassle. This brings me to my last story. My Thai colleague and I noticed that back then at least the Thai officers routinely ignore warnings. These were warnings typically from a hit list from the Interpol database or blacklist. We did ask the officers why they did ignore them. Their answer was it's not reliable. Being a novice, I always thought the Interpol database was somewhat respectable, if not important. So one officer decided to show us what happened if we decided to follow the warning from the system. True enough, one guy, an Italian, presented his passport and it was flagged by the system. No, it wasn't the system I was testing. The officer told this gentleman, about 60 years old, that there is a problem. His passport had been listed as stolen. The poor guy broke down and cried. Yep, more uncomfortable stares from other passengers. He told us that he had a bad time, got his passport stolen, and he had to get a replacement. So he just broke down when the officer said there was a problem with his new replacement passport. Anyway, the officer knew better, just stamped his new passport and wished him a safe trip. I'm not sure which is more uncomfortable, a group of young girls crying and shouting at us, or a 60-plus-year-old gentleman breaking down. Both situations were emotional for me. I really didn't wish it on them or anyone else. As it turns out, the people in either the police station or the embassy would key in data that does not give the complete picture. Sometimes they would key in the name of the person and his date of birth, plus nationality, with the comment or classification of travel documents stolen. The system then blacklisted the person instead of the document. At the airport, there is no way for the officers to tell which is which. The system does not state passport with passport number was stolen. The system just flagged the person. So if someone has travel documents stolen, report it and get it replaced. When you travel, take a copy of a police report to state which document was stolen. Sometimes the traveller cannot even remember the passport number of the stolen document. This makes the report incomplete and hence a false red flag by the system. So also keep a copy of the document, photocopy, scanned, and a copy with someone you trust in your home country or a friend. And yes, if someone has a travel document stolen before they show up to border control, go a few hours early before your flight. This would allow more time for immigration to verify the situation if need be. If it is the last minute, there is a real chance one would miss his or her flight. Peter, thank you for reading my submission. I'm not sure if your viewers would find it interesting. It's nothing to do with a car wreck love story or a sick buffalo, but viewers might find it useful. I found it incredibly useful, especially the bit about the Nigerians hanging around the airport until 2 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't know that North Koreans use Bangkok as a smuggling route up to South Korea. Very, very interesting. Thanks for that story. Right, the third story is very, very short. I want to end on a high note. And again, this is a repeat of a story that I read out about 4 years ago. It all started with a Thai girl wanting to talk to me on Skype. She seemed nice, so we chatted for a while. As it turns out, it was not who I thought it was her secretary, as she was trying to set her boss up with a farang. After the first intro, they switched, although I didn't know this until later. We chatted online and a Zoom a few times. She was always at work as she didn't have a good internet connection at home. Eventually, she talked me into going to Thailand to visit her. I have never been there and I didn't know that much about it. I flew to Thailand and she met me at the airport with her sisters and family. She had booked me into a reasonably priced hotel where I spent a few days. We went out for several nights. She was working most days, so I was on my own in the daytime. She was not a working girl, so she would not sleep with me at all. After a few days, I was getting bored, so she and her sister took me to Pattaya. I did not know anything about Pattaya, nothing about the bars or anything. We spent the first night together, us and her family, all in one hotel room. It seemed a little weird to me. The next day, we went to Jomtien Beach, and then in the evening, she went home to Bangkok, leaving me alone in Pattaya. By then, I was beginning to realise what Pattaya was like and wondered why she left me there. I enjoyed myself in Pattaya for about a week, went to lots of bars and saw some of the sights too. One of the things I always thought was strange was after taking a girl to my room for the evening, she would shower after and come out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel. She would then continue to get dressed but clothing herself under the towel, which looked quite difficult to do because eventually letting the towel drop to the floor, revealing a fully dressed girl. I thought it was weird because we had just been naked in bed for several hours and now she was shy. To make a long story shorter, I ended up marrying the girl from Bangkok and she moved to my country. We have been married now for 15 years, but when we go to Thailand, she does not like to hang out with me. She does not want people to think she was a working girl because of the Farang husband. We go there, spend a little time with her family, then she sends me off to Pattaya or Hua Hin or someplace like that. She has been open about it. She has told me that if I touch anyone without protection, I would never be allowed to touch her again. Besides, She says I'm too cheap to spend too much on girls. So I get to go to Thailand, enjoy myself without a jealous wife to worry about. My story is short, but I hope sweet. So it's always nice to end on a quite a nice story there. Okay, so that's it for this week. Guys, I'll end as I always do. If you're sitting on a story, please send it in. I'll make it anonymous, and you too can hear your story read out right here on Thailand Bound. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back with you next Saturday for some more stories.